Hi everybody, welcome back to Mother Monday. Is it too early or too late? This week we're doing a tier list of the Mother party members. I thought I'd start doing some tier lists on this channel for fun, because I've had ideas for once for a long time, but just never did them because it just wasn't really. I don't know. I didn't consider it like big enough to make like a full video on. But on this side channel, who cares? Let's start with Anna. Anna, I'm gonna put in awesome because Anna's easily one of the most helpful party members in Mother 1. And along with that, I'll put Paula up here too. I think I'll put her slightly above Anna. Gosh, look how blurry these sprites are. Dungeon Man, I've come to recently realize how great he is because he'll just immobilize enemies or just destroy them in one hit. That said, you can't control him, so I feel like I'm going to, and he's with you for such a short time, I think it'll just be a sweet one, you know? Bubble Monkey. Bubble Monkey is awesome. He's so awesome, right? Not awesome tier, probably, though. I'm going to put him in sweet at the top of it just because he's with you for so long and he has such awesome story relevance and is quite funny. And he's just so iconic, you know? But the thing is that you can't control him in battle. He'll get you into fights you don't want to be in just by virtue of him just disconnecting from Jeff for a bit for no reason. And then then he just can't do much damage in battle. King, I like King conceptually. I'm gonna say miss because he's with you for so little. He doesn't do a whole ton, you know. He also runs at the first sign of any danger, so I feel like that's a bit of a letdown. Facade is actually quite good, frankly. I'll set him here for now, but let me discuss. Facade, though he's a jerk as a character, as a party member is very helpful. He does a lot of the heavy lifting in chapter 3 for you. So I think for that, I think he'll just go at like the top of the miss category because frankly, he does so much awful stuff, including the crime of abandoning that poor little mouse that I can't bring myself to put him in a quality of a great character or something. He is a great character though. I think maybe actually, you know what? I'll put him at the bottom of sweet there. So original Flying Man, I'm gonna say bottom of sweet also, and then let's just do other Flying Man while we're at it. Also, I think is gonna go above the other Flying Man, but not much further than that. Flint, I'm gonna say, is actually a smash. I feel like Flint has so much depth to his combat with all of his like I forgot what they're actually called, but like his cowboy abilities basically. He's like amazing. His buffs and debuffs are a lot of fun. He's a really fun party member to just play as. He's up there. What is this? Is this Buzz Buzz? I think this is Buzz Buzz. So Buzz Buzz I'll put like here above Flying Man just because of the raw power. You know, I'll put him above this Flying Man, but not this one because the raw power is awesome, but with you so little of the way. Alec, I think I'll put at the top of the miss category just because all he really can do utility wise, frankly, is like heal you, which is helpful for the Drago fight, but you can easily get through that fight without ever needing to rely on him. So I think he'll go there. Let me catch my breath for a second. Ionia, I'll put at the bottom of the miss. Ionia is just completely useless as a party member. Good character, though. Maybe because of that, I don't know. Ionia sticks with you longer than King does, I think. Also, hilarious sprite and like the what do you call it? The sprite Ionia has all tied up is very funny. Maybe I'll put Ionia at the top of miss, actually, I think. Yeah, you know what? No. Under Alec because he can at least heal. Fuel. Fuel I'll put under yikes. Fuel causes a lot of trouble in the story. Fuel is like a big inconvenience, frankly. So I think that justifies that enough. Eve. Let's rank Eve next. Eve I'm gonna put at Smash. Eve is just so cool and fun and can help you get so far ahead and catch up in Mother 1. It's just a shame Eve doesn't stick around longer than that, not to mention just like an awesome robot, you know? Bony. Bony I'll put I feel like he's at the top of sweet or like You know what? No, I'll put him above Anna because Bony is really fun to play with when you know how to use him right. If you give him like the shield snatcher, which I know can go to anyone, but let's face it always goes to Bony because he's the fastest. And then load him up with items. He's really fun to play around with, honestly. And while we're at it, let's rank Duster, who's kind of like in a similar vein. I'm gonna put Duster. I think I'll put Duster up at the very top of awesome. He might be a smash when I reconsider here. But Duster also like such heavy depth to his combat tools, and there's so much fun. You know what? I will put him in awesome. And frankly, he might be like at the top. No, I feel like Duster has a lot of great depth to his combat with all the thief tools and stuff, and they're loads of fun to use and are immaculately helpful, immensely helpful. I don't know if immaculately is a good way to describe that, but point being, Duster is like incredibly helpful, but I'll tell you, late game when you don't have access to buy bombs and stuff, and not to mention they're so expensive to begin with, I think that ends up making him fall into the backseat of less helpful, unfortunately, so I think I'll put him there. Let's go Teddy Bear. Teddy Bear smash. No, I'll put Teddy Bear. Of all of like the NPC ones here you can't control, I would say you're like second most helpful as a party member because at least you like take a lot of the hits. I'm talking to the Teddy Bear like it's here in front of me. At least that one takes a lot of the hits for you. Alec, I think the only thing he has over is that he'll heal you and save you from dying, which I think Dire Straits is more helpful. No, Teddy Bear's better than Alec. I'll say it. Klaus. I'll put like. Okay, I'll put Klaus under Alec because Klaus, what a lot of people don't understand is even if you hack him to be in your party at any point in the game, Klaus is immensely weak. He is one of the weakest primaries because there's no specialized items for him or anything, and his PSI is very limited. Klaus is not that helpful. Pippi, sure. Let's rank Pippi. I'll go with Picky first while he's here. Picky, I'm gonna put a yikes just because he does absolutely nothing. Picky can at least fight. So I think Picky will go above Fuel just by virtue of that, because Picky can at least do damage, but Picky is like immensely weak and unhelpful. What is this? This is a ghost. Oh my gosh, is this like the spirit that can possess you in EarthBound? That's funny. Easily bottom of yikes, because this evil spirit will just hurt you and immobilize you, and there's only like that one enemy besides the exorcism that you can get. The only way you can get rid of it is fighting those one enemies in a fire spring who can like exorcise it. Okay, now let's do Pokey. So this is Pokey as Pokey. I think I'll go with Pokey for this video. I like to change it up here and there. Pokey is actually even worse than Picky, who's not helpful. I think Pokey will be here because can Pokey attack? I think Pokey can actually attack. I think Pokey will actually make it up to the miss category because Pokey can at least attack. I might need to like reconsider this because I think King's gonna go there and Pokey will go here. Now Ione is at the end. I think that feels better. Is there more? Okay, this is like all of the ones left. Okay, so I think that's gonna be my reassessment for the moment. Tony doesn't actually do anything. As a party member, that is. Tony doesn't have an inventory. Tony never gets into a fight. But he's so nice, He's so nice. And I kind of am getting a little bit lost on how to rank these just because I'm trying to balance like what they do as a party member versus their character, and it's been kind of like hard to do that because if we're going off of just like how good the character is, there's no way Pokey's down here, right? Pokey's like in Smash if you're talking about him as a character. I'm talking about as a party member. This is where I'm ranking them. So who was I ranking again? Oh, Tony. So Tony as a party member is like here probably just by virtue of him not doing anything, Same thing with Thomas. I don't know if Thomas can even if Thomas can even fight with you. Well, no, he can't because Thomas is there when you're fighting couple because it's on the way to lighter. So I don't know if Thomas can actually even hit. I think I'll put Thomas there just because I can't quite remember. How about Lloyd? Let's get Lloyd, some of the scientists, the little inventors in here. I think Lloyd is here with Anna. He's great if you have the items on him, but if you don't know how to use him, which many won't the first time they're playing, he's completely useless. Like, by the same token, so is Jeff. But Jeff can just destroy everything, and I feel like Jeff might actually be at the top of awesome here. Because the only reason Jeff doesn't quite make the cut to Smash is because it feels like it takes a long time for Jeff to come into his own as a party member, because you have to wait so long to get all of his best items, like the bazooka, the multi-bottle rockets, even like regular access to like super bombs and big bottle rockets, which, you know, from there, any of the characters can use the super bomb. So I think that kind of thing is what cuts him off here, but he has a lot of great tools, so I think he's there. He's also like more defensive than Paula is, because Paula is very helpful because her magic, especially freeze, is super helpful, but I think that's it. Pooh, I think will also go here. I think Pooh's a character that's really been growing on me lately. After I did that big video talking about his character for a while, I really, really enjoy him, and he's really grown on me. I think the Moo training is a lot of fun. I think you can consider the Moo training part of this conversation because he's that is a battle, and you know he's the party member, but also his magic is amazing. He's incredibly he has incredible variance in his abilities. He's great. The Armor of Kings is really cool, but I mean, even other than that, his magic's super powerful. He's mixed in terms of he can do offensive and defensive and restorative magic. He's incredibly varied, and I think the only reason Jeff would even be considered over Pooh is because he can often dispatch and destroy enemies before they even get a chance to do anything. But I think actually I'm kind of torn here. I might have to come back and reassess who's at the top right now here. Kumatora. Let's go with Kumatora. Kumatora is a smash. I think Kumatora is the best. Switch. There. Okay. Kumatora is one of the best characters, and I have a heavy bias here because I think Kumatora might just be my favorite character in the series, but she also has some of the coolest magic of the entire series with PK Ground and stuff. And she's with you for so much longer than Flint. That's why I think she's probably up there. Starstorm is incredibly helpful. Her abilities in terms of like assist magic are also very helpful. Only outdone probably by Lucas, who is probably just among the best characters in the series. Like, he's probably top 3, right? Like, Pokey is up there. Like, Pokey might be number 1, honestly. But it's like neck and neck between them, right? Okay, so let's do a little bit more. Pippi. I keep forgetting about Pippi. Pippi is a lot more useful than a lot of these party members, honestly. Pippi, I'm actually going to put at the end of Sweet, just because she actually has a lot more utility as a temporary party member than pretty much all of the ones down here, because Pippi can actually level up for one thing, which is awesome, and that's very rare to see in one of those, and I think it's just not more complicated than that, honestly. Whew, Ninten is actually not the most helpful. He's just very tanky and can take a lot of hits, which is honestly what makes him the most useful. He has some good PSI, though, so I think he's at least in awesome. I think he's up here just because, you know, when you're power scaling amongst these 3 as party members, he easily is the most useful because of his abilities. By virtue that you have the most control over him, really. So, Ninten, I think, is at the top of that. Teddy, yeah, let's finish off the Chosen 4 from Mother 1. Teddy is easily more useful than Lloyd, so I think Teddy's going to go right there. But I think Anna's probably just a little bit more helpful because of her magical abilities. Have more of a range of inflictions they can have on battle. So I think that's how I'm going to break that down there. Okay. Whew. Salsa's Monkey Mimic is really cool. It's just unfortunate that like it's very much kind of up to luck how useful he is in battle. So I think he's probably at the top of suite, right with the other monkey. But Monkey Mimic, I wish it got more time to shine because it's easily one of the most fun moves to use. And there's so much depth in the combat with the scrolling HP meter when you're using him. But he just doesn't honestly get enough of a time to shine, especially like since most of his chapter is frankly cutscenes. The first half is like really all there is that has to do with like battles and stuff, and then they're like right at the very end. I'm sorry if you can hear that humming, by the way. I think some machine just went on in the house. Wes. We'll go with Wes next. Wes is very helpful. I think of all of like the uncontrolled party members, easily at the top. I think just because of the enemies you're encountering with Wes, like Oso Snake, the Clayman, stuff like that, I think he is more useful than Pippi, and he's definitely more useful. Oh, I should reassess this. Pippi is probably better than the Flying Man. And even Buzz, honestly. But anyway, back to that. Is she actually better than this Flying Man too? She might be. She's very powerful. She has identical stats to Teddy, if I remember correctly. So she might actually be even a little bit higher than that. You know what? I'll put her above Flying Man there. But Wes is going to even be above her because of his secret martial arts technique and his ability to occasionally stun enemies. It's not it's very unpredictable, which is why I can't put him above a lot of these other, well, frankly, like none of these other non-controlled party members. But his actual ability is more useful. And that makes me think Bubble Monkey actually shouldn't be as high as he is. I think I kind of got lost in the weeds because he got ranked so early on. I think Bubble Monkey's actually probably like here, maybe. I don't know. I think what's kind of carrying him is like his AI is so interesting in how it actually moves like an animal. Which is why he's actually still over Buzz despite being so weak. And Buzz's only time to shine is in essentially a scripted battle where all of his moves get shown. And even if you get into a battle before that, all he does is immediately destroy it. And, enemies that you can beat on your own easily. So finally, let's rank Ness. Okay, so Ness, I'm going to say, honestly, I think Ness isn't as good as Jeff as a party member. I think he's most useful just because of his sheer amount of HP, honestly. Because his offensive PSI is actually pretty limited. He really more so shines in like his assisting PSI, like his life ups and his status ailments. But you don't need a single status ailment really projected to beat EarthBound. You could get through the whole game, never use paralysis or hypnosis, and be totally fine. It's a lot more useful than I gave it credit for a long time, which I learned recently, but because like you can get through the pyramid really easily and stuff, and Moonside, and what else? You can get through a lot of Fire Springs using it, as well as Magicant. So I think he's actually going to go here, just because Jeff is such a powerhouse, honestly. But Jeff he's a glass cannon, One power shield gets set up and he's screwed without Ness. So I think Ness actually will go above him. And I think that's it. I think that's my tier list. I don't know how much I need to reassess here. Let's go through each tier and see if there's any changes that I want to make. So let's start with Yikes. Yes. I think that's fine. Okay. Miss Ionia. I think Ionia I'll put above Thomas, just because I like Ionia better. And I like Ionia better than King, too. So I guess Ionia will go there. Then there's Pokey. Then there's Klaus. I think Klaus is only better than Pokey as a party member because you get to control him. Then there's Alec. I'm really torn between these two. I feel like these are like very interchangeable. But then again, I have like the teddy bear right there, which is literally just a sponge. These two can actually, Klaus can do damage. See, I would say the bear is better than Alec, but not better than Klaus. So I think Klaus will actually go at the top there, just because I guess he kind of defaults up there, because he's the only one of anyone in this group who you can control. So by that token, he is more useful than anyone else here. Okay, I think that's fair. And that actually might end up moving him up to Sweet, honestly, because this Flying Man is actually just more useful because of the way the games are designed. Buzz, I think is actually going to move down here. And I think Buzz Buzz is with you so little of the time. I'm actually going to move him down here somewhere. I think Buzz Buzz will go like here. There. That makes more sense to me. Okay, so then Flying Man. I think Bubble Monkey is actually going to end up moving to the end of this list. And honestly, I think Klaus is better. So I think Bubble Monkey is actually going to get moved down to the miss category, unfortunately, just because of the major inconveniences he can cause. You can work around them, but they're inconveniences nonetheless. These two Flying Man, I'm just going to say this one from EarthBound is better, because I just remember it better, honestly, and I think it's more useful in the area that they show up in. Pippi, yeah, that makes sense. West makes sense. Facade has attacks and bombs, and well, they actually, I think they both have bombs. I think he can use bombs. I can't quite remember. I think I'll still put Facade above, though. And then Dungeon Man, who is always going to either immobilize an opponent or destroy them. That makes sense to me to have him up there. Salsa you can control and has more depth to his combat overall, so I think that's good. Lloyd's with you much longer than Salsa is, so like I'll just leave it as is. Teddy, is he better than Lloyd? That's actually as a party member, that's actually kind of a complex question, I think, because Teddy really only has sort of like his offensive skills to lean on as a party member. That said, they're very useful skills, but I think the items of Lloyd actually might be more helpful. And now they're just in the order they are in the game, which is funny. Is Anna better than Lloyd? Yeah, I would say so. Then Nintendo. Okay, Bony, is he better than Paula? No. Is he better than Pooh? No. He's not better than any of these people. Okay, so that makes sense. And I think this order is good enough. I guess if Jeff runs out of weapons, he's kind of useless, but Pooh, even if he runs out of magic, it still is a decent offensive user, and Mirror is helpful. Much more helpful than Spy, depending on the location. So I think Pooh will actually go up here. I think I'll change that. Is Duster better than Eve? Yeah, I think so. But because he's with you so much longer and has so much more depth to his combat. Is he better than Flint, though? He might be. No, I don't think so. Flint, I think, just because he has buffs and debuffs is inherently more interesting to me, even though he's with you much longer. So I think these two are like a bit interchangeable here, but Kumatora definitely is better than both of them, I think. And then Lucas. Is Lucas the best in the series? I think so. He has so much utility in battle. Okay, yeah, I think this is my final list. So if there's more Mother tier lists you want me to try out, let me know. This was fun. All right, have a good one, everyone.